I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video could agree with me that Murder Drones is at least a decent indie show. However, obviously some episodes are better than others, and I'm going to be here to give my opinion on which episodes I think are the best and which episodes I think are the worst. And all of you guys can complain on whether I'm right or wrong in the comments. So let's get into it. I'm going to go from best to worst and give a short explanation on why I think this episode is good, or why I think this episode is mediocre, or why I think this episode is the worst out of the entire series. Obviously, at number 1, the best episode in my opinion is going to be episode 3. Now, episode 3 is good for a number of reasons. However, I'm going to start off with saying that it has a perfect balance between an enjoyable watch and being well written. I really love the character interactions in this episode, along with the fight scenes, and also it was generally just an enjoyable watch. Episode 8 I find the second best out of the entire series. Although it lacks in the writing part of the entire episode, it was still a very enjoyable watch, especially for a finale. The fight scene in this episode, the even voice acting in this episode, along with the animation were all top-notch, and I really enjoyed it. Now, the next few rankings of the next few episodes are interchangeable. I could change them around and I wouldn't really care as much. All of them, in my eyes, are basically equally as good as the other ones. However, I'm only doing this just for the sake of the video. Don't take this personally. In third place, we have episode 4. I really love the Solver Uzi scene, I mean, who doesn't? Along with the character interactions between N and Uzi, ignoring the fact that it kind of ruins the whole you know, that was a different video, never mind. Overall, it is a very enjoyable watch and also written decently well, so I've got to get it kudos for that. In fourth place, we have episode 6. Episode 6 was very cool, especially with the Sentinels walking around and basically being the main antagonist of the entire episode. However, the only reason why this isn't above episode 4 is because Doll isn't exactly included in this episode. It doesn't even get a single line of dialogue. And yes, I know that in episode 4 she also didn't get any lines of dialogue, but that was basically part of building the mystery of the story and who she really was. In episode 6, it was kind of led up to her being kind of a main antagonist of the story, yet we kind of got nothing. In 5th place, I've got to give it to episode 7. Now, I know originally a while back I said that this was probably one of the best episodes in the entire series. However, after the recency bias has worn off a little bit, I can definitely rank this lower on my list for multiple reasons. The first being that I feel like so many things in this episode could have been improved, however they basically weren't. I feel like the interactions between characters were a bit botched, and they could definitely be better. Don't get me wrong, it was a very enjoyable watch, and it still is. However, the writing aspect of this episode is a little bit worse than just the 6th and 4th and 3rd and 8th episode, but it's still a very good episode, don't get me wrong. Next, I've got to give it to the pilot. Now, the pilot is just a classic. It's amazing, and although I say it's a little bit worse in episode 7, with the animation being a bit inconsistent and the jokes not really landing for me, it was still a pretty good pilot. Although a little bit worse in episode 7, I'd still say a pretty decent episode. Coming in at 7th place is again another decent episode, episode 2. Now, although this episode is beloved by a few people I know of, I still think it's not the best episode in the entire series. Don't get me wrong, it was still a very good episode. It had its good moments, however, I think it deserves a good spot of 7th place on this list. Now, don't get me wrong, the episodes in the 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 spots can easily be interchanged or switched around. My opinion constantly changes as I rewatch the series, and I think all of these episodes are around basically the same level. The only spots I wouldn't switch around are episode 3 at number 1, episode 8 at number 2, and episode 5 being in dead last place. Episode 5 is in last place for many reasons. All the episodes above this are around the same level, excluding episode 8 and 3, which are a little bit higher than the rest. However, episode 5 is definitely far below all the rest of these episodes. The entire point of the episode, at least in my interpretation, is to explore the backstory for V and N, yet V is basically never seen in the episode except for a few times, and even then she doesn't really get any character development, but it also fails to deliver a meaningful and compelling story for N and V's backstory, and the Murder Drones backstory as a whole. I also just generally despise the interactions between Crow, Uzi, and N for multiple reasons which I have expressed in other videos, but I won't get into them too much in this video. So overall, episode 5 is not good in the writing standpoint and also not good in the enjoyable watch standpoint, making it dead last in this list. Sorry for such a short video. I had to work a lot on my what if Uzi met V instead of N and didn't immediately die video, which I will be releasing hopefully next week. Like, subscribe, and comment to help out this video and this channel. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.